because for me, I'm like, there's independent labels and there's independent artists. Because some of the independent labels, in quotes, have partnerships with some of the major labels. So they're independent, but not independent per se. So there's also that distinct, like there's levels to independence, essentially.
There's levels to independence, yeah.
The more independent you are, the less shine you're gonna get.
Wakiuliza nini miufanya miujitepa, any day mina maganji miujitepa, sambona ni kudanganye jo kankona gaji na visirani, shidangu ni kankope pana sina kitu ya kufanya, miujichocha alafu naingia bana kujitepa, zikishuka zinapanda, balance bana nina misbehave, nikicheki
mamu, usiniite ndugu, niite shetupu guru, nilishe tukidam sambu, mamskam kwangu ka uko karibu kam kwa mkuu.
Yo, what's up guys, and welcome to episode 115 of the 30% podcast. We finally reached the number of charges that Man City have against them. Like, Sam, just think about how big the number 115 is and how long it's taken us to get here, and just how crazy it is to have 115 charges against you.
I'm more concerned with why you decided to go down that road. Man City.
Listen,
speaking about Man City. Sorry, go ahead.
Anyway, I go by the name Afamefuna. My co-host goes by the name Sam Are, Jedediah, Elia Penda.
Gosh.
And we hope that this podcast is something that y'all integrate into your life. What am I saying?
Yo, we need to start this might be top 10.
Yeah, this is bad. This one was bad.
I don't want to say worst, but then top 10 most difficult intros.
No.
You're struggling.
I low-key wanna restart the podcast.
Restarting. No.
Let's just go.
Keep it.
But anyway,
it's your fault. It's your fault for trying to come up with something clever. Just start. Just do the intro.
Listen, I hope you guys listening to this podcast are well. I hope you're healthy. I hope you're happy. I hope your week has started on a high note. And I also hope the same for you, Sam. Sam, how have you been?
I have been chilling. Been creating.
Hey, being chilling.
Yeah. Yes, I've been alright, man. Just working on music, working on life, working on whatever, man. Yeah, not much has happened, honestly, in terms of my life and creativity. But
really? Actually, you know what? Let me start with my week, because I feel like you had a more interesting week than mine. I think that would be easier. So, Sam,
So, Afam, how was your week?
I've literally done all that to tell you that I didn't do anything in my week.
Oh, God, have mercy. Oh, I know what kind of podcast this is going to be
anything
today.
Notable.
This is the struggle pod.
No, there was nothing notable for the podcast anyway.
Okay.
That's
good.
Music-wise,
sometimes we need some of those. Yeah.
Oh, actually, no. I okay. To be honest, when it comes to music or something that people would find interesting, yeah, I did make a few strides in a positive direction when it comes to new music, let's just say. So that is going well. Yeah, so kind of like I said this in a previous pod, saying it today, like just working on a lot of music related stuff, really exciting stuff, to be honest, that I can't wait to like speak on properly when the time is right. So let me just say that. So it's not like I haven't done anything. It's just like I haven't done anything like that I can really talk about too much in depth. Yeah.
It's been significant for you, Sam, not for the rest of the world. I
I guess so. Yeah, tell us. What did you get up to, Mr. Industry Man? Let me tell you guys, Sam is one of the most industry people you are ever gonna meet. He is like, when it comes to power rankings of the music industry, Sam is up there. He's in the top 50. Anyway, Sam, tell us about the industry.
Up so much now. It's none of that. This week was cool. I think earlier in the week, I was out I was at a studio session with an artist, an American, Kenyan American. He's an American, but then he lived here for a long time. He's a rapper, and he was doing some work with, I don't know if I can say it. Well, they teased it on Instagram, so it's fine. He was doing some work with Caterpillar 8. And so that was an interesting session. It was cool. It revived my love for rap again.
Okay.
And gave me a couple of ideas of sort of how to... because I just be feeling like the rap game needs some spark. We need some life in it. And the girls, the female rappers have been holding it down. Kinasaru and them, they've really been holding it down. The guys haven't done too much. Well, they've been doing a lot. We need some life. So anyway, we had that discussion, that conversation about hip hop music and just music in general. So that was cool. And then I stumbled on a listening party. I was so I was not.
What do you mean stumbled?
I was unaware that something was happening. Then I went up to Instagram, and then they got me. The FOMO, fear of missing out, got me. You know how supermarkets, they have mad stock in their store. Like they just got a fresh new stock of whatever it is. But then they say, "Oh, hurried, why? What did they say? Limited stock." Yeah.
Hurry while stocks last.
Yeah, while stocks. Sorry, yeah, that's it. Hurry while stocks last. So they.
No, bro. The worst. No, hold on. The worst is when they're like, if you buy this product because it's like 30%. No, they usually say, you'll be saving $10 by buying our product. But it's like, why are you telling me I'll be saving $10 if I just didn't buy your product?
Exactly.
I would be saving way more.
That's psychology. It's supermarket psychology. It's retail psychology. But no, so they got me. I was online, then I saw that Ochiko's his had sold out. I feel so dumb. He was throwing a listening party and they put that it had sold out. I'm like, oh dang, because I genuinely just wanted to attend, because I'm trying to attend more shows this year. I'm trying to, well, I say that every year. I'm genuinely just trying to be outside. New Year's resolution in February. I'm trying to attend more shows. So I was like, okay, this would be cool to attend. I'm familiar with his music. I've not necessarily listened to it as much, but I'm familiar with him and his music. So, and I knew a bunch of people are going to be there, and I just want to mingle. So I went up and anyway, long story short, I got in. So I went for that. It was cool. They had a dress code. The dress code was green and white. I absolutely ignored that because I am a rebel and we don't do dress codes.
Come on, Sam. And so let me guess. Let me guess. You wore black.
You know me too well. Yeah, I wore black, man. I mixed it up with some white and brown.
Oh, so. How edgy.
Yeah. So, I wasn't going to do no dress code, but people came dressed though. Oh my goodness! Like guys there's a bunch of creative outfits out there, and some very creative ones. But yeah, it was cool. The scene was
that sounds like shade. That sounds like shade.
Oh no, it's not shade. So I ran into a couple of people outside, out there. It was actually packed. First of all, it was packed. It was an industry. Well, it was a corner of the industry, is what I referred to it as. It's a corner of the industry. You know how our industry is very segmented and very cliquey. That's a conversation that people don't like hearing, but it's the truth. It's the truth. So it was like one corner of the industry. So a bunch of people were out there. Chris Bauer was out there. Barbara Wangoi was out there. Turns out we went to the same university at some point in our lives.
Barbara Wangoi.
Yeah, but she's cool. She's very cool. She's very chill. Who else was out there? Njerai was there. She was on the project, so she showed up. Who else was there, man? Half of Watenda Willie was there. Who else? Keithan showed up. Man, there was so many. I can't even. And there was just a section of the industry. Like you would know if you go on Instagram and you're good. You do your Instagrams. You do your searching. You'll tell. Like there's a section of the industry that was just that the babas were out there. Just a bunch of people. Kinoti showed up. I think I saw Brandy Maina at some point. So it was cool. Everyone came out to support.
Didn't you mention Nubia? Nubia
were they were also there. We're Nubia. I think both of them were there. Yeah. And many more. I'm forgetting a whole bunch of people, but yeah. Mrumbi was also out there. Shout out to him. Yeah, so it was cool. It was very cool. Got in there. There was a band playing, well, not a band. Sorry.
What do you? Where's in there? Like where was the event?
Bro, I keep forgetting where the place is. It was in Sarit though. It was in Sarit. It was at a cafe in Sarit. Should I pull up the name? No, it's fine. Go and look at the poster. So yeah, it was cool. Got in there when the band was playing. This is like a pre-game, pre-show. So everyone was just socializing, drinks, chilling, talking, sizing each other up, and fraternizing. And so that was cool. And then the man of the hour. So Ochiko was playing. He released Salt and Water. So there was a listening party before it. So he came out, kicked it for a while, and then played the EP for us. So we all got to listen to it firsthand. Played the songs from start to finish, and then he was just vibing at first, just sitting down, vibing, and then yeah, and then after that
quick question. So when he played it the first time, like was there like a specific song like the crowd was mostly drawn to? Like
I'll get to that.
Oh, okay.
So he did when honestly from the whole EP, from what I know, and it makes sense though, but the song that people seemed to enjoy the most or just sing along to the most was the one that he had released previously, which is Ochikore, which is on the project, right? So that one got the most reception. He did get reception for all of them though. Like it wasn't like completely skewed in terms of what people loved. Of course, Njerai is a crowd favorite, so they really enjoyed her song. Even Stacey Kamatu too. Man, Stacey Kamatu is getting some rep out here. Like she's the talk of the streets. So they also enjoyed her song and her release. And yeah, so it was cool. And then after that I can't remember well again. Maybe I think he performed the songs or something like that. And then he sat down for like a Q&A. So people asked him a bunch of questions on the project, on him, his life, inspiration, what happened and everything. So that was cool. He gave us a little bit of insight. Apparently he had already worked on the project before, but from his words, and I don't want to mess up his words, but he was, something went wrong with the producer and he didn't get the project, which kind of annoys me. I was really annoyed sitting down and listening to that because I'm really getting tired of the story of producers holding people's art hostage for whatever reason. Now he didn't like really divulge into it because I guess he didn't want to do that. He didn't want to be messy, even though would have appreciated some mess. But the story of producers just holding on to artists' music for whatever reason and not coming to agreements, and the art then suffers. I'm not saying that this one suffered, right? But then the art tends to suffer, and artists. I've heard of so many artists in the back room. I've heard so many artists talking about how they've worked on like 2-3 albums sitting, and the producer just won't let them have it. Some producers are just outright just deleting hard drives and stuff. So producers need to stop that. Like we need to value art and be anyway. I don't want to get on that tangent rant, but yeah. So he talked about that.
Well, it's a touchy one though. It's a touchy tangent. Maybe we'll talk about it another time.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it don't make me cape for the other. But like,
oh boy, here we go. No, it's cool.
People don't be paid. No, sometimes you could have an agreement and you're like, okay, like you pay me and then you don't get paid, and then now the producer feels like the only thing that they can do is hold on to the music, and now everyone is angry. Honestly, I feel like it's. Let's all treat each other well.
Definitely.
You know what I mean?
Definitely. There's times where the producer would be like, okay, you need to pay, and I think we need to do that because again, it's also it's also an exchange of value. So you can't just come and record. And sometimes artists have the main character syndrome, where they feel like they are the end all be all of art. But then everyone needs to eat, producers, graphic artists, whatever. So yeah, both sides just value each other, man, and just put art ahead of yourself. So he talked about that. So he talked about there being the previous project, and then this one was, he went to Kobe Worldwide, who is being very busy recently. Kobe Worldwide is a producer, and he's the one who reproduced the project. I think 3 out of the 4 songs he did. The last one was produced by Fancy Fingers, which is Ochikore, which of course was a previous release. So shout out to him. The project's pretty diverse. I don't know if did you listen to it?
You know what? We can talk about it a bit.
Did you get around to listening to
I did.
a project finally? For the first time in your life.
First of all, listen, we're done with this narrative in 2025.
We're actually not done with this narrative.
We are. If you're new to listening to the podcast, this narrative does not exist. Afam listens to full entire projects. I am the project master. Like, when it comes to projects,
right. Could you just give us a review? Just give us a review.
As much as me.
Keeping for yourself. Just give us a review.
So
what do you think of
Chico's Salt and Water. So we love the song Ochikore, of course. Like, that song came out. So I feel like even the reason why you said the crowd was gravitating to it more was also, I think, because we've had more time to sit down with it as a song. So that makes sense. I think it's a cool project. I'm not gonna lie, like, I struggled a little bit in the beginning of the project, and it's a very short project, to be fair. I do think Njerai and Stacey Kamatu really, really did what they did what needed to be done on the project, for sure. I think Njerai's melody in I Choose You was very, very catchy. I like the ooze things she was doing towards the end there. So inspired. She's a really good songwriter, Njerai. Stacey Kamatu, like you said, highly regarded in the industry, man. Like, what more can we say about Stacey Kamatu? Well, a lot more, but anyway, we shall revisit. But Stacey Kamatu is very, very, very... Listen, I be giving people clues. I give you all so many clues. You all need to put the puzzles together, the pieces of the puzzle together. I think my favorite song of the 3 new songs that came out in the EP would be Na Enjoy. Pun intended, I guess. So yeah, I really enjoyed that song. All in all, I mean, if we're being technical, and this is the gift and the curse of being a producer and an engineer, is sometimes we listen to music on a technicality basis, which, by the way, is not great. Because I miss the days when I just used to listen to music just to enjoy it as a form of media. Like, you know what I mean? Like, back in the day, it's like, I don't know if this happens to you somewhere, like, you, like, back in the day, music just sounded very homogeneous. Like, you'd listen to a song, but the song was a whole. It was the lyrics and the instrumental, like, everything was together. Just one thing, and you appreciated it as that one thing, and that's so great. Now, the thing about listening to music after you've started making music is you start to really compartmentalize music into its elements, because you kind of know what goes into it. So you know what goes into an instrumental, and then you know what goes into the vocals, and then you know what goes into the layering of the vocals, and then, like, you go into mixing, and you're like, oh, okay, why is it kind of low in, like, then you go into mass. So you start thinking about all that, and that stuff happens very like subconsciously now, especially when you've done music for a while. And so unfortunately, when you start, like, now breaking things down like that, it's like it takes away from just the innocence of listening to music as a thing,
as a consumer.
So, I feel like Yeah, as a consumer. So I feel like Ochiko's, I feel like the mixing, especially like of his vocals and stuff like that, could have been a little bit more tasteful. It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad,
break
but
it down.
I feel like
break it down. Break it down. When you say tasteful, what do you mean? Like what's tasteful?
Yeah, I just feel like the vocals were a little bit like sometimes there was a little bit of muddiness. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I wanted to hear especially his vocals pop a little bit more in the mix. I liked the production though. So shout out to Kobe. But I don't know. I just felt like. But it does make sense that you said that there was an issue, with the producer, and maybe he had these songs and he had to re-record them.
Yeah.
And I've been in that position. And usually when you have to re-record music, it's never the same as the first time you recorded that music, because the first time it's organic, you put more of yourself into it.
Yeah, you tend to fall in love with the first iteration of your art. And so when you're creating, with those emotions of, oh man, I hope I can recreate what I already did sometimes. So sometimes it's very useful just to like abandon it and create from scratch, create something new, just so that it's a little bit more pure.
Or if you try to recreate the feeling, like if you try and recreate a feeling, it doesn't quite come out as the original feeling that you had. It's kind of impossible. It's why one of my guiding principles when I'm recording music is I absolutely love recording a song from start to finish on the same day.
The same day.
There is nothing I hate more than leaving stuff to do.
Okay, we'll come back next week and do BGVs.
No, I hate that because it's never the same. It's never the same. I'd rather stay up until 5 a.m. finishing one song than have to now come back to it afterwards.
But doesn't that depend on
things?
Doesn't that depend on the artist? Because there's some artists that are just really in tune with what they want and what they need to do, and so they're able to come back the next week or whenever and just come back and maintain that emotion.
For me, this is how. I'm sorry, but this is just how I work. Because like I get that. I get where you're coming from, and it makes sense for sure. But like just from working in experience, like it's just usually never the same. And then it just always becomes like a thing about, okay, let's finish this song. And then now you're waiting on people. And then this and that. I hate it. There's nothing I hate. I just love coming out of the studio and I know all I need to do is mix this song to its entirety and we're done. Anyway, that's just me. That's just how it is working with me. I don't know. Maybe I'm a nightmare to work with. I don't know. So no I just need to feel like, and for me, it comes from not to make this whole conversation about me, but like it comes from my origins
Please,
of
go ahead.
No, it just comes from my origins of making music, which was when I got FL Studio for the first time, and it was the trial version, and I had to finish songs because I couldn't save. Yeah, so I had to finish them. Like, so yeah, I think
I'm
that
the opposite.
habit kind of
I'm
stuck
currently
with me.
Yeah, and I'm currently struggling with that. Like now I'm actually having to discipline myself, and so when I start a song, by the end of the day, because it usually takes me a while to make tracks, just because I'm listening to the song so many times in between. But then when I start a song, start a beat, start whatever, I'm trying to finish it in that session, just so that because my just the numbers of FLPs, just files, just sitting there, and some of them are almost done. It's just the last few touches. But then when you listen to it for a long time, then it's like I give myself dopamine where I'm like, okay, this is really nice. I really enjoy it. I would listen to this song if it came out, and I never finish it because I've already achieved what I set out to achieve, but just for myself. So I'm really trying to do that. But anyway, that's a little bit of a tangent.
No, but yeah, back to Ochiko. Back to Ochiko though. Like, no, but the building blocks are there for sure. And I think he's definitely going in the right direction.
You know what I feel?
I think that song with Fancy Fingers is a hit. Yeah,
yeah. I feel just a little bit more on the what do you call it? Technicalities of music. So I understand where we are in terms of the industry and sort of how we work is, since we don't have like proficient labels music labels and labels usually one thing that they do well is outsource work to professionals, individual professionals who do this. So like if it's time for mixing specifically, like they'll give it to someone who, does that and does that well. In our industry, we are sort of the model that we use is the producer model. So the producer sort of handles everything, where if you want.
You're talking in general now. This is all.
Oh no, yes.
This is just like
no. This is general.
Just
general.
to have that as a distinguishing factor. Yeah.
It's general, just the model we have. So like a producer will say, okay, let me work with you, and then you come, then he produces the song, and he's often or she is often the one mixing and doing the mastering. But the thing about having a label is that they tend to just outsource that. So like mixing would be to someone specific, and then mastering to someone specific, and that often serves to improve the quality because this person is not a jack of many trades, so they're a bit more objective in terms of like a mixer would sit down and know.
Also I was just gonna say, and also it affords for more specialization.
Yes.
And usually when there's more hands involved in the music, usually because of that objectivity point, it ends up turning out even better because especially when you sit with music for a while, you also become very biased. You start to not listen,
which is the main problem that happens, where you just sit down and you're so familiar because you've produced it, you know everything, you've helped the artist write, and you've helped them record and everything. So by the time you're done with it, you're almost full. It's like when you're cooking a meal, and sometimes when I'm cooking, I cook. By the end of the food is done and it looks good, I'm just tired. I don't want to eat, and I'm just exhausted at that point. So
that's such a good analogy, though. Yeah. It's like sometimes when you cook, like you kind of don't feel. It's like it's always better eating food that's been made for you, as opposed to when you actually cook it, because then when you cook it, like I think you're inundated with all the smells in the kitchen and stuff like that it doesn't hit the same.
Yeah. All that to say is that I feel like we need individual technicals. Is it technicals? Technical people in the industry, like individual mixers, people who focus on mixing, mastering.
But we do have that. We do have that though.
I just feel like we don't have the culture.
It's just that we don't have the. It's culture, but it's also culture that's bred from the inability to afford some of these services.
Again, honestly, that's the other part of it, because if we're not a high earning industry, then there's not much to invest back into this. So you are kind of, and that's why this model, I guess, has been the model that has worked for the industry, for the Kenyan industry.
Because
for a while,
if you tell an upcoming artist, okay, I'll produce these songs, I'll charge you, let's say you say I'll charge you. I'm just going to give a number. Say it's an EP like this, like 4 songs, right? And you want me to... So I'll be like, okay, I'll charge you 5 Gs per song.
Yeah.
So you'll pay 20,000. And if that's inclusive of mixing and mastering, like the artist is going to like that. Like they're going to be like, okay, you know what?
It's an easy 5 up front,
Yeah, but then if you're like, okay, I'll produce this stuff for you, and that's all. Like I'll mix, but I don't really do mastering. And then now you charge them 20 Gs, and then now the artist has to go again and try and get like an extra 20 Gs because if you send it to a mastering engineer and they'll be like, okay, we'll do 5 Gs per song just to master. They're not paying 40 Gs. So essentially what ends up happening is all the work ends up being put on one person, which I guess one positive I can give about that is that even me as a producer, I've really grown because I've had to learn how to mix, master, produce, mix, and master. Like I've had to learn how to do everything just because that's what artists like expect from you in the industry. So there is a benefit there because you become a jack of all trades. But that's the thing about being a jack of all trades. You can't be a specialist, essentially. And I guess that's where other industries kind of Yeah, I guess that's where other industries kind of get us. It's like some people are just mastering engineers. Some people are just recording engineers. Like sometimes the pathway is so segmented into you have a specific recording engineer, you have a specific mixing engineer, and you have a specific mastering engineer. So the music is going through 3 different engineers, and that's minus the producer.
Yeah.
So it's just like, yeah, there's a lot of involvement in music.
Yeah. But yeah, man. Shout out to Ochiko. He definitely has motion.
For sure.
Motion. Interested to see what he is cooking 2025. I feel like he's going to release more music this year. When you drop in January now, you have the pressure is on you now because you can't just drop in January and disappear. Yeah, and the features in Jerai, Stacey Kamatu, Fancy Fingers, they brought it. So shout out to them as well. And everyone, his whole team, we often forget the people in the back room and they are also part of it, just planning the show and everything. The show seemed to go well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, man. That was that. That was an interesting outing. Yeah.
A little outing. Where do you want to go from here, Sam?
Where do we want to go? I wanted to bring up a conversation, just a short conversation. I stumbled on a little post by a guy who was absolutely frustrated at Spotify. And I wanted to bring up, just we could have like a discussion about Spotify and I don't know how to frame it, but it's more like Spotify and whether or not the direction we are going in is beneficial. We've had this conversation in small fragments, but it'll be good just to focus. And then I guess I read an article which I thought was pretty interesting, a little write-up that was interesting. So I guess we'll just go through it and I do a little thought exercise.
Sure.
A little thought exercise. So I'll start with the post. The
Instagram.
Yeah, the Instagram post. So, and I read. Should I say his name? His name is Reggie Watts. Reggie Watts, I think, is an artist. He starts with F Spotify. Let's talk about why. That's such a Twitter headline too. That's a very Twitter headline. Like a thread is coming. Spotify has built a platform that devalues art by turning music into a numbers game. It's a giant corporation profiting off the blood, sweat, and creativity. We're supposed to say tears. And creativity of artists while paying out fractions of pennies per stream. They've turned the listener-artist connection into a transactional algorithm where playlists and data points decide the fate of your work, not its emotional depth or artistic value. Are you with me so far? Are you there?
Yeah.
All right. They just checking. They're not the only ones doing this. Most streaming services underpay and exploit artists, but Spotify is the worst offender. The model sets the lowest bar, prioritizing shareholder profits while throwing breadcrumbs at the people creating the art that builds their entire empire. Then he goes into he's currently trying to take his music off Spotify and blah, blah, blah. If you love music, support artists directly, buy their albums, go to their shows, stream elsewhere, but don't let Spotify's shiny interface blind you to how destructive it is for the future of creativity. F Spotify and F any system that exploits artists for the sake of shareholder profits. It's time for a better way. Off the bat, Afam. Are we with Reggie? Are we with Reggie or not?
Yes, I think we are. I think we're with Reggie.
Yeah. I mean, we could talk about that a little bit though, before we get into the article. Because the article sort of, it's written by a different person, but it sort of expands this. And I'll just briefly go through a few points. But then from this, it's something that I think we've been talking about. We've been saying where, and my opinion is, as we move into technology, technology has a way of, should I say cheapening art? It has a way of diluting it because technology's goal is more and faster. And art tends to rely on intuition and heart and all that stuff, which is almost anti-technology. And then now when you add commerce into it, that just makes it a lot worse because then money and technology have combined to create a system where, like Reggie is saying, a system where artists are at the mercy of what they have to do in the industry. Like you need to be streaming for you to be successful. I mean, okay, that's a lie. You can be successful underground, but then the blueprint for growth is put your stuff out on social media and, streaming and ensure that you get those numbers up and all that business. So it does make sense. It makes sense in terms of what you're saying.
Yeah, I know. I do agree, man. I do agree. And yeah, especially that statement where it says that it's turning music into a numbers game.
Yeah.
It's so real, man, because that's just what it becomes, like when you think about playlisting and
being one of the worst offenders actually of that. It's because playlisting has a way of playlisting further it removes so when you jump on Spotify, it becomes a numbers game, right? And so now you're fighting for numbers and fighting for monthly listeners, and there's monthly listeners, and then what is the other metric that they use? Let me just pull that up. You have monthly listeners.
The key metrics would be monthly listeners and followers.
Yeah.
And then also streams, of course.
Yes. So monthly, I was talking about monthly listeners and followers. So there's monthly listeners and followers. Those are already two. It's just social media. It's become social media. And then now...
And also, the whole... just even the concept of monthly listeners is also slightly misleading, because you might listen to somebody's catalog for 30 seconds or a minute and just not even be that engaged, and you still count as a monthly listener. So it's not really like a proper metric
for
what your fans are really like, who your fans really are. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Essentially, all social media is the same, because it's how much numbers can you get from by interacting with many people, and then there's also the concept of liking, which Spotify has done. And by liking, when you like, you automatically go into a playlist. Whatever you like automatically goes into a playlist, or you have the option of putting it into a playlist. And now, when you throw an artist into a playlist, playlists have they have decreased the concentration of, they've decreased the ability to focus on a specific artist. And now people are more focused on what kind of vibe can I curate?
Yes.
How many songs can I link together that go well together? Sorry. And playlisting is not bad in itself, because we've been playlisting since Kingdom Come, right? Mixtapes and making CDs for your girlfriend when you're in high school, like that. It's been around, but now it's become more obvious and blatant, and probably there's less soul in playlisting as the artist, as far as the artist is concerned. Anyway, so those are some of the problems, I guess, that social media really is what it is. Social media has brought into us. I'll just go through some of the main. The article that I read is it was on The Verge. The article is called, if you need to look at it, artists, if you're interested, it's a really good read. The article is called "What Spotify Took From Us by Giving Us Everything," written by Elizabeth Lopato, if I'm saying that right. And she's sort of critiquing someone else called Liz Pelly, who wrote something else. But the gist of the article is pretty long. So I'll just give you the gist. The gist of the article is some of the main points, right? So I'll just bring them up, and then I guess if you have points to us, we can talk about them. But some of the main points: number one, the music industry and Spotify's role. So Spotify has been problematic, according to the article, according to her, and it's the tension between art and commerce is sort of exemplified in Spotify, because it's become like really raw, where you have an artist and a song, and then you have a consumer, and you've brought all of them together under one roof. And so there's less middlemen, like when you're working with a label, there's just so much that goes in between the artist and the fans and everything. But then now it's become so close. So music in itself, the music label, it has been a problem, but Spotify has sort of made that worse. And then a lot of people have felt that there's been a shift, right? A shift from valuing music in terms of the music consumption. Even I remember when we started, one of the first episodes was the Daniel Ek, when you made me watch the Spotify documentary. And see, when he started, it was a genuine. He wanted to see the music industry thrive and figure out another solution. But a couple of years down the line now, it's become just so corporate, right? And it has shifted from people valuing art and music to a lot of the times it just feels passive. It feels like as an artist you're just part of the game. I don't know if that makes sense. You're not. Yeah. So that's it. And then we now go into playlisting, and playlisting has just, I mean, we just talked about it, but then it's changed just the culture of music where it's no longer about songs and specific artists, but it's more about vibes, and it's more about, curation, and it's more about, which in their own right, it's an art in itself. But then a lot of artists have a problem with that, because then it feels like they're just devaluing the art by saying, okay, you like the way this song sounds in the first 2 minutes, we're going to throw it into that playlist, and then, we'll listen to it whenever. But then now the artist has spent years and years trying to figure out that one song. But as someone who champions playlisting, what do you think about that? Because you've talked about... As someone who champions playlisting. I'm trying to throw whatever on you. As a person in the industry, what do you think about playlisting? I mean,
I'd love to play. I'd love to play. I mean, if I have to play devil's advocate, I mean, I guess streaming has really brought music, like it's brought it to, it's given us everything, like the lady who wrote the article says, like they've put everything in one place. I think the struggle with that obviously is then you have like selection paralysis, because there's just so much that you can listen to. You end up listening to not much because there's just so much. You don't even know where to start.
Netflix has thousands of shows, but you get on there, you're just scrolling. Analysis paralysis is what it is.
Yeah, just so many shows. That's what it is. In terms of playlisting, though, I wouldn't say I champion playlisting. I think playlisting is just par for the course for the music industry. It's just another way to kind of keep access and just kind of keep that access and keep that opportunity away from independent creators. You look at some of these playlists, and if you do some back-end analysis with tools like Chartmetric, you begin to see some really worrying patterns. I did this back in the day. I think I did this on the company I was working with. We purchased Chartmetric for a period of time. Okay. And I was studying, I think, it was the Rap Caviar. Yeah. We're just looking at that as a playlist because it's one of the biggest hip hop playlists in the world, right? And you see a very obvious like pattern, because they even split it up into like a pie chart, and you see there is an obvious split in how the music is distributed. And you will see Universal has a specific percentage of music. Warner, Sony, they have a specific percentage, and then it's just the others, the independent labels and independent artists. And you look at other playlists as well, and it's the same thing. It's almost like it's planned. It's almost like there's a quota. Like, it's so frustrating, because that means that the amount of music that gets into this playlist that's just organic, it's very limited, right? So
it's even worse because it's painfully obvious. Like, you can just tell. You can look and just tell.
You can tell. And the problem with that is that it's unfortunate, because playlisting has become one of the biggest ways for music discovery in the industry, and also streaming being a huge revenue generator in the industry. It's problematic, because if only the labels are getting high priority for some of these playlists, then most of the payouts, and then also compounded by the fact that we're transitioning into streaming 2.0, most of those payouts will just end up going to end up going to the major labels, right? And less to the independent labels, and less to the actual.
So the artist,
So there's, because for me, I'm like, there's independent labels and there's independent artists. Because some of the independent labels, in quotes, have partnerships with some of the major labels. So they're independent, but not independent per se. So there's also that distinct, like there's levels to independence, essentially.
There's levels to independence. Yeah.
The more independent you are, the less shine you're gonna get, right?
Yeah.
And ultimately, if you come up with something that's undeniable and you're independent, you're just gonna get snapped up by one of the labels. So it's just a losing battle. And then also, one of my biggest concerns about streaming in general, and as far as playlisting is concerned, is I'm not sure who really listens to these playlists, because I've never really talked, like whenever I talk to actual human beings, I never hear people who are like, oh yeah, I'm trying to think of a random playlist name.
Yeah.
Anyway, like nobody ever says like, I'm trying to think of a random Spotify playlist that's like big that people might recognize. Maybe people will go to like the Fresh Finds Africa or the Fresh Finds or New Music Friday, but there's specific playlists that have so many likes on them. But I'm like, this is cap. like people aren't listening to this stuff, and I'm just like, and the thing is like, you can't disprove that those numbers are real and those are real people. So you just have to sit
because
there
we don't have the information. We don't have the information. We can't.
Because when I think about my music listening habits, I don't just play playlists and sit there and just like, that's just not how I consume music. Maybe I'm not the like SI unit of how people consume music.
Yeah.
But I don't think most people sit around consuming playlists. So for me, playlists feel like a little bit of a sham.
Payola.
Of a sham, yeah. Like it's just a bit shady. But Spotify in general is... It's beginning to, you know how in Batman they say you either see yourself die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain. Yeah. That's what Spotify is quickly becoming. And bro, recently they've inked a partnership deal with UMG. It's been reported that Sir Lucian Grange and Daniel Ek are, they're happy to work, and some of the things that are in this deal involve like I think like more benefits to the major labels or Universal in this case because of this move to the streaming 2.0. So what's going to start happening is there's going to be more packaging of music geared towards super fans. There'll be tiers, like they've outrightly said, like there's going to be tiers, like let me see, they write I was reading an article on Music Business Worldwide. I can't find exactly where they say this, but they are going to start like giving more premium tiers to artists. I mean, to geared towards like super fans. So if your artist of interest wants to release two tracks that are just like exclusive, you might have to shell out more. But I'm like, I feel like it's such a detached view of the world, because it's like they think they're assuming, well, but maybe it's the case because they're assuming that people are willing to pay way more for music than they are. Maybe our view is a bit skewed because economically things in our country are so bad that nobody's willing to spend more money on entertainment. But I guess that's not how the rest of the world views the music industry. Maybe
it's crazy. It's crazy because every year the pricing of Spotify, and when you say Spotify, honestly, when I say Spotify, of course I mean Spotify the app, but then I also mean generally the music streaming world, because there's more. There's Apple Music, it's all of them, but Spotify just is a scapegoat because they're the ones who are always at the forefront. They end up every single year they keep raising their prices, and it keeps climbing and climbing and climbing, but the artists never benefit from that. And it's a problem because the artist is the one keeping the platform alive, sort of, through the labels. Like if artists boycott, and everything. And they say, we're not going on Spotify. And Spotify's numbers decrease. And then it becomes a problem because it's a tech product. Spotify is really just a tech product that sells music. So, I mean, it's difficult. We could really go deep into it. Some of the suggestions that propose is, number one, like it's that I guess she lists in terms of what could be done better is, this one is interesting. I don't know how I feel about this. Maybe you could give me your thoughts. And we'll just do this quickly, then we move on. A universal basic income for artists, like almost like MCSK. Does MCSK do that? They give everyone 2 shillings, and then they. That's
stupid.
Yeah,
that we've already agreed that's just how they're gonna steal even more money.
That's not good. That never works. But then artist-run platforms, I think, is one of the major ones where the artist is in control, and we like to talk about that a lot, the artist being in control of their music. But the thing about it is that we need more artists to do that, because if it's just a few, the labels are so powerful that they have, even like Afam said earlier, the independent artists are signed to independent labels that are signed to the big 3. So there's not much independence. And so the artists will just do what the label requires them to do for their bottom line, to remain in the green. It needs to be a concerted effort and like a shift for a lot of artists. And we need to, I don't know how, because it's starting to sound a bit revolutionist, but then there needs to be something. If not, and I don't see, even like streaming 2.0, look, they're framing benefiting the artists in a way that is blatantly obvious that it's just going to benefit them, and it doesn't seem like there is positivity at the end of the tunnel. So artists really need to take control of that. The rest of her, I don't really agree with it. She mentioned universal healthcare. I'm not sure how that helps anything. And a living wage for musicians act, which is sort of like universal basic income. All in all, the artist needs to take control, because the tech doesn't really care about art. Tech is an art in itself.
Yeah, I mean,
so it's preoccupied
some
with
artists
itself.
are trying.
Yeah,
some artists are trying. Like I know if y'all listen to Mick Jenkins, I think he released a project called Typeshade, and I think it's a project that you can only purchase like from his website or something of the sort. The only problem with such things is, trust me, like even in my social media experience, that story, I feel like they bury such things so that you don't really see or hear about them too much. Like the Mick Jenkins project has gotten such little coverage. And it's because they don't want you to know that
it's not in their best interest to promote.
Are doing.
Yeah, it's not in their best interest to promote him in an independent way.
Yeah, it's not, because he is doing something that's breaking the status quo, so to speak. So it's just
a lot of the labels are in talks with the social media platforms, which are in talks with the whatever. So they have like a wide reach. So on Instagram and TikTok and whatnot, they're going to, if they don't like something, they're going to, make a call and be like, let's put a cap on his reach. Let's not have him, like, no, let it seem organic, but then let's put a cap on his reach so that it doesn't go as far, because we need him to know that he needs us. And that's I guess capitalism and the problem with people and money.
That's capitalism. Speaking of different caps, Cap is a producer in the music industry. He makes music. Let's talk about new music. Sam, please, I'm sorry. Your silence is deafening. Sam, please, stop.
Just go ahead.
Could you say something?
Let's go. Let's get into new music.
Come on.
Let's get into new music.
I was desperately trying to get a transition, but that conversation is super important, guys. And
yeah.
Anyway, it's not looking good, bruv. It's not looking good. So new music, Sam. I mean, as we talked about Salt and Water, so we don't need to talk about that again. Did you listen to Kamahona by Nikita Kering?
Yep. It's an interesting pairing. Kamahona hauna. Nikita Ndovuku and Scam Cardinali.
Yes.
Produced by So Fresh.
So Fresh. Wasn't there a video? But I was looking. I was desperately looking for the video, but I couldn't find it.
She teased something.
There was supposed to be a video. Yeah. I don't know if the video is out yet.
Maybe it's coming. Maybe it's coming.
Maybe it's coming. Yeah. Never mind. Yeah.
She teased something.
Anyway,
so.
Shout out to Nikita, man. I did some. Well, anyway,
and Dovu and Scar. Interesting. It was interesting to see her on drill. Like I like the trying different things. So. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Did you listen to... Okay, so Ananitaka by Naiboy and Iani came out. I mean, listen, Iani will give you those anthemic vocals thing. So listen, 2025, I guess it's going to be more of the same. Zama by Ethic. Bro, Gengeton is back, my guy. Mm-hmm. Sam. Ethic have released a second song. I believe Angry Panda Clan released this week. They released a song called Pungulu. And
I don't even know what that means. I hope it's not doesn't mean anything crazy. But that's just a funny word. Sorry, continue.
And I know Boondocks Gang said that they're going to release something as well. So it looks like Gengeton is back with a bang.
Back with a bang.
Listen, back with a bang. So shout out to Angry Panda Clan and Ethic. What else did I listen to? I also listened to Saru released a song with Timmy T that called Mbaya. The video is set in a gym. Very, very sweaty video if that's what you're into. So yeah. Yeah, that's listen.
God have mercy on me.
That's all I listened to. What else what else came out this week?
So a couple of other releases. Red Sun is outside. He teamed up with Stoneboy and producer Ajal with a song called Sexy Mama. One Ness and Ness Mburu teamed up for the Afro House joint called Kulenga. So that was interesting. KC, we've not mentioned KC in a while. KC is Kenyan in diaspora, and he dropped East Side Got It, featuring, it's Aubrey King X and KC. Aubrey Kings? I don't know how to pronounce that. But yeah, that was that. That came out. I want to see though. Chris Beats, who is it was this week. Chris Beats released a project. Chris Beats is like somewhat established Nigerian producer. He teamed up with Joshua Baraka and Bien and Chris Viz and to drop a song called Pretty Girl on his project. He dropped a whole project called Daddy Daycare, which is funny to me. So yeah, if you're a big fan of Joshua Baraka and Bien. I saw online, this is really random, but I saw online people thinking that Joshua Baraka is Kenyan. He's very much not. He's Ugandan. So
he's very Ugandan.
Yeah. What else? Nothing else really caught my attention, honestly. Yeah. Can I say that? Yeah, nothing really else. But there was a few other releases. Of course, go support Kenyan music, new music playlist, new music
Always.
Fridays. Yeah. Support artists.
What would you like?
Support artists. What would we play? Yeah.
What would you like to play for the end of the podcast?
Let's go with... So this song came out a while ago, but we're just going to consider it new because it dropped with the project. We're going with Ochiko off his Salt and Water EP, and I guess it was a single, Ochiko and Fancy Fingers.
Yeah.
The song is Ochikore.
Mambo yalibadilika, tulitoka Usago, tuko Nairobi, kutafuta moni. Huku watu hawalali, wanapiga kazi safi, tukipatana na wewe, naomba uelewe. Mimi ni mwenyewe, tunakata kama wembe, tunawasha, baada ya kazi ni sherehe. Cheza kama wewe, itisha na upewe, washa. Sama mama chwako komo, nitino chikore, jali, usipotee njiani. Kama umeiba mrembo wa wenyewe, usipatikane, chunga usionekane.
Kama unakula mume wa wenyewe,
usijulikane, kula urudise. Inua mikono tukikata yoyoyo, tutasahau ya leo yo, situfurahi leo yo. Inua mikono, inua chupa yoyoyo, tutasahau ya leo yo, situfurahi leo yo. Zama mama chwako kongo, nitindo chikore, nitindo chikore, nitindo chikore. Zama mama kelo jaga, nitindo chikore, nitindo chikore, nitindo chikore. Zama mama chwako kongo, nitindo chikore, nitindo chikore, nitindo chikore. Zama mama kelo jaga, nitindo chikore, nitindo chikore, nitindo chikore.
Ochiko, Fancy Fingers, Ochikore, off his Salt and Water EP. Shout out to him and all the artists and producers on the project. It's good to see music, man. It's good to see music.
Good to see new music, man.
Released.
And as always, shout out to y'all for listening to the podcast 115 times to be exact, which I don't know if you guys know, that's the amount of charges Man City got. Right, Sam?
Can you wrap this up?
Anyway,
Please, man. Save me. Save
listen,
me.
in comedy, that's called a callback. And yes, I know it's a very dumb thing that I've done, but like, anyway. Guys, actually, I haven't done this in a while. I wanna talk to the people in the radio stations, man. You all need to play more Kenyan music. We're seeing you. I think
We
the
started this
percentage
podcast by yelling at them, then we stopped yelling.
I know. I don't know. Maybe the percentage might be slightly up or not, or maybe things are just the same. But we started this podcast because only 30% of music played on Kenyan radio is Kenyan. Sam, can you believe this? Can you believe such an it's an abomination in my eyes. And if you're a radio director somewhere, you know, shout out to the likes of 254 Radio that only play Kenyan music. We need more Kenyan music on the radios. Also, if you are new here, I usually like to end the podcast with the 3 C's. And what are those, you ask? I will tell you. Number 1, confidence. Always be confident in your art. I never cease to say this because confidence sells. Confidence is everything. People will listen to music that's not great just because the artist is confident about how they express themselves. So confidence is very key. Number 2, consistency, both in the creation of the music and also in its release or distribution. We live in a time where we are oversaturated with content. The media space is just so full of people trying to make it in music, in creative arts and all that. So if you're not consistent, you will get buried in the deluge of art that's out there. So you need to be consistent. And lastly, craft. Always work on your craft. I always say this, if you only have 5 minutes in your day, because I know people be doing way more than just the music or the art. If you only have 5 minutes in your day to dedicate to your craft, please, that 5 minutes will accumulate to something greater. And the reason why I give these 3 C's, actually, sometimes I'm speaking more to myself because it's something that I also need to implement. And it's things that I like. I'm not perfect. But I am very much a creative, and these are kind of some guiding principles that I try to implement for myself. And I hope it helps you as well. Sam.
Got nothing, man. I've got nothing for you.
Sam's got nothing. And
we're out.
Well,
bye.
We'll see you guys on episode 116, which is one more charge more than the amount of charges that Man City got. So
save me, man.
With
Can
those
we
words,
just let's just done. We're done. We're done.
Goodbye.